Hi, good morning, and welcome back to Create, Share, Inspire podcast. This is episode 532, and we are here live in Southwest Florida in my studio. If you are joining me live, please say hello. Let me know if you have any questions. Uh-oh. There we go. I have my computer here with me this morning. Yeah, so I'll wait for people to show up from pre-chat and from notifications. Hi, Naomi. It's snowing in Connecticut. Wow, that's exciting. Hi, Joe. Hi, Thea. Hi, Lisa and Judy. Good morning, everybody. Hi, Cherie. Hi, Jane. Good morning. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hi, Melissa. Snowing in Massachusetts, too. Exciting. Hi, Lucy and Christine. Someone mentioned my scarf. Thank you. We will be talking about this one this morning. This is the new Serafina scarf. It's a one ball project with Be So Sporty Bling yarn. Hi, Annette and Marcia and Jane. Thanks for joining live. Cherie saw one of the tutorials. Great. I uploaded 3 video tutorials yesterday. Felt really good to get back into production mode for video. Feels really good, actually. So I uploaded 3 more video tutorials for projects from 52 Crochet Gifts. One of them was a video tutorial for this beautiful scarf that is so quick to make. I think that anytime you work a scarf lengthwise instead of short row, lengthwise instead of widthwise, I think that they go faster anyway, but this happens to be an extremely quick scarf, and what a great time of year to come up with a scarf in a beautiful fancy yarn that doesn't take long to make. It makes a showstopper of a gift. So really highly recommend doing this in one ball of Be So Sporty Bling yarn for a high impact show-stopping last minute gift. I also did 2 other videos yet last night. One for the new Grace head warmer. Again, another one that is super quick to make. This is done in a post-stitch stitch pattern that looks very much like ribbing. And it starts with a foundation double crochet. So if you haven't learned that stitch yet, the tutorial is great for that. The tutorial also shows you how to do the front post and back post double crochets. This is a one ball project in Be So Baby yarn, and it takes no time at all to make. You could adjust the size to make it for children, men, women. The stitch pattern is very unisex, very universal. You could make this for gifts for anybody on your list, and who doesn't like an ear warmer? Also great for people that don't like to mess up their hair. Super great for quick gifts. You could make one of these with one ball of Be So Baby yarn. I'll show some colors of Be So Sporty and Be So Baby yarn this morning, just in case you need some inspiration for trying out these quick patterns. And then the third pattern that I did a video on last night was for the Frankie cowl. And this stitch pattern, if you haven't seen it before, you're going to love this. It is so, so, so fun to work on this stitch pattern because it is just a tiny little tiled motif, a tiny little square motif that you make and then join other ones to it as you go without cutting yarn. So it's very much in the seamless crochet motif kind of technique where you're making little components and joining them as you go without cutting yarn, which means that not only could you make a little cowl scarf like this, but you could use this stitch pattern to make anything. And I just think it's so fun to start small and watch something grow. So you could make a shawl, you could make an afghan, you could make a baby blanket, you could make absolutely anything you want with this. But if you want to make this particular cowl, I'll show you how to add buttons to both sides so it makes it a reversible scarf cowl. You can wear it around your neck, just normal. You can tie the buttons on one side and make it a cowl. You can tie the buttons on the other side to make it a twisted Mobius cowl, or you could join the buttons in only one corner and you could even make it a little capelet. So lots of ways you could wear this. You could also wear it over your head too. Yeah, you could also tie it and wear it as a hood as well. It's the right size for that. Yeah, endless options. But I think what I really wanted to focus on is the stitch pattern, because yes, you can definitely make it into this cowl, but it's going to be a great practice to teach you the stitch pattern, because once you make a smaller project like this cowl, you'll still have that skill set in your repertoire of crochet skills to be able to use this stitch pattern for so many other things. It's just super fun to work on. Does anybody have any questions so far? And all three of those projects that I just showed you have full video tutorials available here on my YouTube channel. They are all individual patterns you can download, and they are all available in my new book, 52 Crochet Gifts. And all the yarns are available on my website. Cherie, you're going to love the Frankie tutorial. That one came out this morning, so the other two came out last night, and that one came out this morning. So when you get a chance, you're going to really enjoy watching it. Oh, I'm also wearing another pattern. This is the Claire knit sweater that is from Layers Knit, which you can get as an individual pattern download, or you can get it in my book, Layers Knit. This is done in Be So Tender yarn. Oh, which reminds me, we have new colors of Be So Tender yarn. Let me show you. They will be launched later today. They are not, the photos are not up yet, but you know how that goes. I'll show you the yarn first, and then it will be released with photos later today. So I've got 5 new colors, and it has, and I've changed the put up. It is now a 4-ounce ball, 113 yards instead of 100 yards, or 100, it's 113 grams, 4 ounces instead of 100 grams. And it means the yardage is a little bit more. We have 157 yards per 4-ounce ball now, and this color is called Rose. So pretty. Then we have Honey. I love this color too. And we have Olive. And we have Navy. And we have Charcoal. So those are the 5 new colors available in Be So Tender yarn, and the new put up is 4-ounce balls at 157 yards. There will be a new pattern coming very soon, this one right here. That one's coming very soon, and there will be some other patterns coming soon in these new colors, but those 5 colors are available now without photos. So if you wanted to grab any of these colors before they get launched later today with photos, now you've seen them. If you want to see them again, please feel welcome to leave a comment here. Otherwise, we'll move forward and talk about other things. One of the things I wanted to talk about with the Serafina scarf, great, Cherie, I'm glad you're loving the book, is that this is worked lengthwise. Like I said, it starts with a very long crochet chain, and then we work 5 rows of a stitch pattern on one side of the scarf, and then we fasten off and then come back and work those same 5 rows in the opposite side of that original beginning chain. So you can, but here's the beauty of it. That stitch pattern that I used creates, when you work it on both sides of that beginning chain, it gives you this illusion of a little motif in the middle there. Doesn't that look like a little circular motif in the middle there? And so this ends up looking like some sort of a motif hybrid, and it doesn't necessarily look like rows worked lengthwise. I think that it is really cool, the fact that someone could look at this and really have no idea what you made. I always love doing stuff like that. I find that to be so fascinating when you can create something that doesn't look like what you think it looks like. So you can see in here, it's worked this way down the center with a chain. Then we work 5 rows along one side, fasten off, and then we work 5 rows in the opposite side of the beginning chain and fasten off. So what does that mean? That means we have a beautiful scarf worked in a beautiful fancy yarn, one ball, and it's only 10 rows. So you do the math. How long do you think it takes to do 10 rows of anything? Not very long, right? So it's quick, it's easy, it's and it's a one ball project. I used colorway Flaming Foliage in Be So Sporty Bling yarn, and it turned out so beautiful. I love these colors, but I thought that I would bring some of my other colors to show you this morning as well. What about Pink Dragon Fruit? Wouldn't that be amazing? Speaking of which, I might show you a sneak peek of a new project coming with that color too. We've got Sunrise 07. That would be beautiful too. So depending on if you're making it for yourself or someone else on your list, pick a color that goes well with their coloring. This is, what color is this? I don't know, it's the green one. We'll look it up in a second. And then, can't remember this name either. I'm still slowly getting back to feeling better from being sick. Evergreen, yeah, it's a green. And then this is one of the Sunrise colors. I think it's Sunrise 05. We'll look it up in a second. And this one is Lioness, which I love this color too. It's a beautiful soft gold with that shimmer of the silver. So pretty together. All right, let's look up the name of those colors, because they are, thanks Barbara. Yeah, it's just, this congestion's just taking a little longer to, I'm just not getting back to 100% as quickly as I wanted. I'm definitely getting back. Oh, All Spruced Up is, okay, so we've got Lioness and Flaming Foliage and Pink Dragon Fruit. I remembered those names. Then we've got Moonbeam, All Spruced Up, and we've got Sunrise 05 and Sunrise 07. And it looks like those might be missing off here. We'll have to add those on. So all you'll need is one ball to make this. So if you wanted to grab a couple of balls, you have plenty of time to make this for several people on your list still. I think that's great. I love scarves that look like they took a long time, but they really don't take much time at all. You can make this really quickly. Same with the Grace, and this is the Serafina scarf. So the video's available, the pattern's available. It's also available in 52 crochet gifts, and it is done in number 2 sport weight Be So Sporty Bling yarn. Pamela, could you make it in a different yarn? Of course you could. Is it a 2-ball project? No, it's a 1-ball project, which is great when you're doing fancy yarns. It's nice to try out a fancy yarn without a huge commitment, so it is a 1-ball project. Thanks for the questions. It helps me to describe things better. So you can find all of the colors that I showed you this morning on my website. And again, 1-ball projects. Someone asked if they could make this scarf in a thicker yarn. Of course you could. A scarf is not a sized project. You could, and the pattern also tells you what the multiple is for the stitch pattern. It's 11 plus 5, I believe. So if you wanted to make a longer scarf, if you wanted to make a shorter scarf, you could adjust the number of the original chain to make the scarf any size you want with any yarn you want. I just thought that it was a beautiful way to feature such a beautiful yarn as Be So Sporty Bling. All right, so then I said I was going to show you colors available for the Grace ear warmer. This is a one ball project that is lightning fast in Be So Baby yarn, and what I really like is the fact that there's no edging on it. It actually looks a lot more like a knit ribbing, with the respect that that texture goes all the way to the edge. Can you see that? There's no edging on here to smooth out that texture. We left it as is. So I started the project with foundation double crochet, and if you haven't done a foundation double crochet before, I highly recommend just watching the video just for that, because although we do know how to do foundation ovals and we've talked about foundation single crochets before, a foundation stitch can actually be extrapolated to any size stitch. Once you understand the concept, you can make it with any size stitch. So by doing a foundation double crochet on a project like this, it ends up making the edging invisible. You can't tell which side is the top and which side's the bottom on this, because that foundation double crochet mimics a row of double crochet without an edging, and I think that's amazing. So then we move on to the post stitch pattern and just bind off, or just fasten off at the end of the last round of that stitch pattern. No edging, and that's what gives us that beautiful corrugated ribbed effect on both edges. I just love that. And that's something that you could more easily do in knitting sometimes. So Barbara, I couldn't read that. Something about privacy. Hope everything's okay. So anyway, I forget where I was going with that, but I was just going to say that sometimes it's easier and sometimes it's harder to make things look more knit or more crochet from one craft to the other, and I know I get asked that question an awful lot, and I think that this is an example of a crochet pattern that ends up having a lot more of the features of a knit pattern, because we're able to maintain that texture on the edges. Anyway, it's a super simple pattern. It's a multiple of 6 stitches, so although the pattern is made for an adult woman size and it's made to have a little bit of negative ease. Can I wear it? Yes, I've worn it in all the photos. I guess I can put it on. Doesn't look bad as a cowl either. So you put it up on your head, cover your ears. I like ear warmers because you can keep your hair down still. It doesn't mess up your hair. So that's what it looks like on. Super cute. And so I was going to show you the colors that I have available in Be So Baby yarn. So depending on who you're making it for, if you wanted to adjust the multiple of 6 stitches to create a smaller size for a child or a larger size for a man, you would choose a different color of yarn based on who you're making it for. So we've got, let's see, where am I not going to blow up in the light? We've got Buttercup, which is a yellow, mint green, got Prince light blue, that's the one that I'm wearing. I thought that was really pretty. And then we've got turquoise and a baby pink called Princess. The colors are blowing up a little bit in the lights here, but you can find all of these colors on my website too. This is violet, orchid, cherry, peach, diva, splash, clover, and navy. All great colors depending on who you want to make it for. We've got stuff for kids here, we've got stuff for women, we've got stuff for men. Lots to choose from. And again, super duper quick and easy to make. You can find the pattern on my website. All of these patterns also have charts as well as the written instructions and now the video tutorials. You can find all of that on my website as well. And if you have trouble finding anything, please always feel welcome to ask. I also brought the colors of Be So Cozy yarn for the Frankie cowl if you wanted to see them. I've got Cosmos and Orchid, Aqua, Felicity. Oh, what were the other colors? Let me go back. I think I'm forgetting 2 other color names. Good thing I brought my computer. I knew I was going to need it this morning. I knew I wouldn't remember everything off the top of my head. Okay, and then this is Myriad and Deep Blue Sea. Okay, so we've got Deep Blue Sea, Myriad, Felicity, Aqua, Cosmos, and Orchid. All beautiful colors. This is a number 4 worsted weight yarn that is a blend of superwash merino wool and bamboo blended together. Super soft and cozy, hence the name. And here's the last bit of the step outs that I was doing for the tutorial for that scarf last night, which is so cool. I really hope that you get a chance to watch it, because once you learn this technique, not only can you make this scarf that's super easy and quick to make, but just having this skill set of knowing how to make these little mini tiles and join them together to create a tiled fabric without cutting yarn is just so cool. I think you're going to love that. Does anybody have any other questions? I know I've talked about a lot today. Marcia got some Be So Cozy in the mail yesterday. Wonderful. I'm glad you love it. Me too. I love my Serafina scarf. I love just being able to throw it over my shoulder, throw it over my neck, and be done. It's like wearing a big bright necklace, but a little warmer. That's how I feel about lacy scarves, though, especially when you pick bright colors or a yarn that has a little silver in it. I just think it looks like a cute necklace that's just a little bit bigger and a little bit warmer. Also, with something like this, you could tie it a second time and actually make it look more like a cowl. That would be easy to do as well. There we go. Oh, how cute is that? Love it. Thanks, Lucy. Yeah, I love being able to wear, I love to wear things more than one way, and to turn a scarf into a cowl is always a fun one. Definitely more necklace-like that way too. Excuse me. Thanks, Lisa. Oh, sneak peek I mentioned earlier. Yes, I have a 2-ball project coming in Be So Sporty Bling yarn very soon, and it is going to be one of the easiest and quickest shawls you'll ever make, and it has a beautiful fringe border on it that I haven't shown you how to make before. How beautiful is this? So this is going to be a 2-ball project in Be So Sporty Bling yarn. So if you wanted to grab some yarn now so that you have it when the pattern comes out, it is super quick to make. I did mine in just a couple of days, so you could definitely do it in a week. Super easy. It's the kind of project you can take with you to any social event, because once you get started, there's no thinking about it whatsoever. It's a great Zen project, and it's only 2 balls of Be So Sporty Bling. So what a showstopper. You could do it in Be So Sporty yarn without the bling as well, but if you really wanted to do a showstopper, it's 2 balls of Be So Sporty Bling, and it's done in, this is colorway Pink Dragon Fruit. So if you know somebody that would love a hot pink shawl, can you imagine this over a black dress for a holiday party? I mean, just absolutely stunning. I don't even have my ends woven in yet, so that is truly a sneak peek. But if you wanted to grab 2 balls of any of the existing colors before the pattern comes out, it would the pattern will be out very soon. It is a type of fringe that I haven't shown before, Joe, and you'll be seeing it when the pattern comes out. It is a combination of fringe and foundation ovals, and there's no yarn cut in the entire process. You're going to love it. But we are definitely not at the point of publication, but it is coming soon, and it will take 2 balls of Be So Sporty Bling. So the Serafina scarf is a 1-ball project in Be So Sporty Bling, and the new shawl, which is unnamed, will be 2 balls, but it is so easy. It's going to be your favorite easy project for a shawl. It's just easy. You could teach someone how to crochet with this pattern. It's that easy. How awesome is that? Any other questions? Thanks, Naomi. I agree. Yes, easy and gorgeous. Love that combination. Me too, Joe. How many balls for the hooded scarf? I believe that's 2 balls, Christine. It's listed on the pattern. You can find all of that information there. It's in your ebook. And then I'm assuming you mean the yarn that it was used in. If you wanted to substitute, you'll have to pay attention to the yardage used for the scarf if you're substituting for another yarn. Thanks, Lisa. Raina wants to know what the word Zen means. I just use it like in replacing a word that means something relaxing, something that's, mindless. You don't have to have a whole lot of concentration or focus on it, and you can just kind of relax your mind while you're working. That would be my quick definition of it. You could certainly look it up on a dictionary website as well. If anyone else wants to add anything to that or correct me, that's fine, but that's usually why I use the word Zen in relation to knit and crochet projects. Is that the thicker the yarn, the more you use? I have no idea. Cherie, I don't understand that. Sorry. I'm going to wait and see if any more questions. Oh, maybe Cherie's question was about gauge. I still didn't understand it. I'll wait and see if you can reword it. And if you don't in time, you can always write it in a comment on the recorded version of the podcast. I know we do this in a live stream environment, but as soon as the podcast is over, YouTube converts it to a recorded video. And once it's a recorded video and you make a comment there, those comments stay. And so your comment, to make a project, if you use a number 4 yarn instead of a number 1, would you use more? Would you use more what? Would you use more yardage or would you use more weight? Yeah, you're going to, would you use more balls? It's hard to say what you're asking, but Dawn loves the silver blag. Wonderful. Well, you need more yarn if it's a thicker yarn. Yes and no, because if you're going to make the pattern exactly as written, you're going to change your hook to make the thicker yarn drape well. like, okay, let's say you use a size 3 millimeter knitting needle crochet hook and a number 1 fingering weight yarn. And you want to make that same pattern in a number 4 worsted weight yarn. Well, you're not going to use a 3 millimeter needle or hook. That's going to make a really tight gauge. So you're going to use an appropriate sized hook or needle for that thicker yarn. So already you're making something that's going to be bigger. If you make that pattern exactly as written, you will roughly use the same amount of yardage, but you will make something a lot bigger. If your gauge was, 10 stitches to the inch and now you've got 3 stitches to the inch, you're going to make it so much bigger that you may not want that. And so you'll adjust the pattern to accommodate the different gauge, make less stitches to create a similar sized project to the original project, and then that will make it less yardage. But if you're going, and it depends on how different are the 2 yarns that you're substituting. I gave you an example of a number 1 to a number 4. That is a huge difference. So if you're making it exactly as written, it should be roughly the same yardage. If you're adjusting the pattern to make it roughly the same size in a different gauge, or in a different multiple number of stitches, then it will be less yardage for a larger yarn. Does that make sense? So it really depends on what you're actually going to do with the thicker yarn. Would it work by reducing the number of repeats with a thicker yarn? Yes, that's what I'm saying. If you're trying to create the same size project, but using a larger yarn and a larger hook or needle, you'll probably want to change the number of repeats. Let's pick something simple like this scarf, okay? You're doing a multiple of 11 plus 5 for this length of starting chain to start this scarf, okay? And that's with, I don't know, what was it? A 5 millimeter crochet hook and number 2 sport weight yarn. If you wanted to switch this to a number 4 worsted weight yarn and you were going to use a 6 millimeter hook or a 7 millimeter or 8 millimeter hook, if you made it exactly as written, it would be much longer than this. If you wanted it to be this size still, you would reduce the number of multiples of 11 plus 5 to create a similar size. If you reduced the multiples and did less stitches, you could possibly use less yardage. If you did the exact pattern as written with a larger yarn and a larger hook or needle, you would be roughly the same size yardage, but you would have something much larger. Let's see if that makes sense. I'll wait and see what anybody has to say about that. Because there's the 2 different ways. There are those 2 different major choices of there's two roads that you can take when changing the yarn. You can either choose to make the pattern as is and make it bigger, or you can choose to adjust the number of stitches you make to make it closer to the same size. Great. Cherie says it makes sense, and she's the one that asked the question, and I see lots of other people saying that they agree too. Great. I'm so glad. Because it can be a really complicated concept, and it can be so different for absolutely every example, right? So depending on what yarn you're substituting, with what yarn, for what pattern, those variables change for every single yarn substitution idea. Now there are concepts and broad stroke statements like I just said, but eventually, once you get down to the nitty-gritty of it, every single yarn substitution has its own quirks. So there are things to consider every single time. But in general, I think I answered the broad stroke questions. Hopefully that helps. Patricia, there are charts and diagrams for all of the patterns in 52 Crochet Gifts. Yeah, measuring is very important when you're substituting yarn. Measuring is important, period. Just gauge in general is based on personal tension. So how I hold my yarn and my hook and my yarn and make my stitches is not always going to be the way you do. And that goes for any designer and any crafter. Our tension is personal. And so it is a rough suggested start to look at what the designer has written in a pattern for the gauge. It is where you start, or the hook and needle size is a suggested starting point, because to reach that gauge, you may or may not be using the same yarn. You may or may not be using the same needles or hooks. You may or may not hold your yarn the same way or have the same tension, or be having a stressful or a stress-free day. That can adjust your gauge as well. There's so many variables that affect your personal gauge. So don't ever feel like there's something wrong with you as a crafter because you're not getting the same gauge as the pattern with your first try of a needle or hook size. Always remember that is a suggested hook or needle size based on what the designer has done, or the person that wrote the pattern. Pamela, she says she works very tightly when she's stressed out. Absolutely, it's personal. It's personal, and it's based on your personal experience at the time. Absolutely, 100%. Any other questions? By the way, I'm going to do the podcast only 3 days this week, as I'm still trying to get back on my feet from being sick. So we did Monday, we're doing today, and we'll do a third podcast on Friday morning. I won't be doing the cooking live videos this week at all, taking a week off from that. Just, again, trying to get back on my feet. Shipping is up to date. Please feel welcome to order anything you want from my shop. Everything is available and ready to ship. I am working on more tutorial videos in the background, but I am taking some time off from the live videos this week just to try to get caught up on other stuff. Thanks, Pamela, and thank you everybody for all the well wishes. I guess I really don't have the luxury to take as much time off as I would like to rest. So it's taking me a little bit longer to get better than I wanted to, but definitely getting better. So thanks, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for taking time out of your busy day to spend a few minutes here with me. I hope you enjoyed all the show and tell and all of the new colors of yarn and things that we talked about. I love all the questions on gauge at the end. Hopefully you can take some of that information and use it. I appreciate you guys coming and joining me this morning. Let us make time to create, share, and inspire today and every day. I'll see you guys on Friday. Bye.